Hello everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we're back again. I'm going to talk football now and the recent FA Cup semi-final between Arsenal and Man City. And as usual with these videos that I do for football, I don't spoil the result in the headline. So if you don't know the result yet, you probably want to tune off now, go back and catch up with the highlights or the full version wherever you watch it, and then come back to this review afterwards. So going to the match now, and obviously a pleasing result, especially if you're an Arsenal fan. It finished 2-0, 2 goals from Aubameyang, and overall I think this was very pleasing, very disciplined, very solid performance from Arsenal. I think it's always the case when a team that normally likes to play attacking, very fast fluid football, they revert back to a much more of a defensive counter-attacking style. That's when you kind of know when you're facing superior opposition. You know, you play a style or you adopt tactics you wouldn't normally adopt. You wouldn't see Arsenal play this way against, let's say, Bournemouth or Norwich, even now when this declining phase that Arsenal are in. But overall, yes, very reliable, very disciplined, very solid, and they built on from that defensive foundation that they established well on. You know, the likes of Mustafi and Ceballos were very sure-footed and very reliable, and even David Luiz, you know, possibly his best performance in the Arsenal shirt. You know, everybody was more organised, they were all set within their positions. Martinez continues to really, if you like, dismiss any concerns there was when Leno got injured. You know, a lot of Arsenal fans, they respect Leno as a very competent, high-class keeper, and when he got injured and was out for the rest of the season, it raised a lot of concerns. But Martinez has come in, he's very confident, he comes out for the ball, he's very decisive, he normally makes the right decisions. So he has really, I think, warmed a lot to the Arsenal fans in these last couple of weeks, and he's proved to be a very consistent and highly competent keeper. So overall, the first half, Arsenal were very steady on the ball, didn't want to make too many mistakes. City were having possessions but not really making any clear-cut chances as such. It was always being played in front of Arsenal. There were a few kind of last-ditch interceptions or tackles, but nothing really too alarming. Aubameyang had that great chance early on when he was played straight through. City tried to play him offside, but if you looked at the replays, he was clearly on. And for some reason, I don't know why, he just hit it straight at the keeper. I mean, it was virtually a bit like a penalty. And it's one of those where you go either way. So he was on his right foot and he should have just bent it around the keeper. But for some reason, he just hit it straight at him. It was the wrong choice. That could have been an early goal for Arsenal, but he missed that chance. But later on, he maximised the opportunity that Arsenal had with the first goal. Now, I'm going to hold my hands up. The beginning phase of this goal, it's something that, as a fan, I hate when teams play for the back. I know it's very fashionable and very trendy now. Every football team wants to be more cultivated and more stylish. They don't like the typical hoof up front. They all want to be settled on the ball, and this idea of playing behind the back. Now, I always hate it because I think you always invite pressure. If you're 3 or 4-0 up, fine, not a problem as such. But when you're 0-0, when it's seemingly a very competitive game, especially when you're facing what many people deemed as superior opposition, the last thing you want to do is leave yourself liable for any kind of defensive mistakes. And Arsenal were just casually playing at the back, playing it across goal. Again, that's something, you know, schoolboy error. You never play it across goal just to get, in case you get intercepted, but just playing it from the back. And they were getting closed down, and I was concerned. I was thinking, what happens if they lose the ball or they get tackled? But no, they played their way through, played it through the middle. Great kind of link-up play from Lacazette, who was really, at times, more like a central midfield player. Got on the ball, shifted out wide to Tierney. They played it through forward, played it out wide and crossed it in. And it was a great kind of instinctive prod from Aubameyang. He hit it on the outside of his foot and just clipped in through the post. And yeah, it's one of those all-round great team goals when it's played from the back and almost every player gets a touch on the ball. It's, you know, back to front, great. But, you know, I always worry initially at the beginning phase of these type of goals when you just casually play it from the back. But no, Arsenal played through very well. Tierney, again, he's showing a lot of consistency as well with his play alongside the wing there. You know, he's very energetic, he's youthful, he's got a lot of buzz about him, a lot of enthusiasm about him. And now, while I'm still kind of mixed on how much we paid for him, but now I can see a bit more of a justification for the fee that we did pay for him throughout. But yeah, Arsenal's confidence just grew throughout that first goal and the way it was played on here. As I said, Mustafi was very solid, Lacazette as well played very well, and they were just disciplined at the back, and they limited City to very small amount of chances. And the second half, okay, City did assert themselves a bit more, they got on the ball a bit more, they had a lot more possession on it, but again, what real chances did they have? There was one from Martinez when he kind of, I think he came up from the wing, he came inside and he had a shot. Not Martinez, sorry, Mahrez came in from a clipped on the side and had a shot, but Martinez was up to the task. De Bruyne had a shot just wide. There was a free kick that he had as well that was just wide on here. And yes, City were trying to put on the pressure a bit, but not really too many alarm bells. There was the one big contention, and I think this was when Sterling was working his way through and he was running through from a wide position into the box, and Mustafi clipped him, and they took in the box, they took it to VAR, and it was deemed not a penalty. Now, I'm going to be honest here, I think it was a penalty. It was a penalty. The way that Mustafi has slid in, he hasn't caught Sterling with his leading foot, but he's caught him with his back foot. If you look at the replay, it's a slight touch, and yeah, and I think Sterling has kind of made the most of it. He's gone over more dramatically, and sometimes when players do that, it makes the ref think twice about giving a penalty, even people analyse it at VAR. But yeah, he's gone over a bit more dramatically, but Mustafi has clicked him. It's one of those where he's got the ball, but he's got the player first, and yeah, I thought that was a penalty. So I think Arsenal lucked out a bit on there, but that was only really big contentious moment. And then we got to the second goal. This is the point when City are really kind of pressing forward, and they just held such a high line. And I think it was Tierney getting the Pepe got on the ball, he played it back to Tierney, and they played it through Aubameyang, and City are just really hovering primarily just up to the halfway line. And when you've got someone with the pace of Aubameyang, that's always a dangerous tactic to have. And he just played it through. Aubameyang's got the whole of the second half to run into. He just runs through clearly. I was a bit worried because I thought he takes one extra touch just to set himself, and it's always one of those ways when you get strikers that are through on goal when they take that one extra touch when they don't need to. But he was comfortable on the ball and he just poked it through the keeper's legs for 2-0. Again, you could look at it and say this is another opportunity where he could have bent it round the corner like Thierry Henry always used to do, but nope, he was confident enough to stick it through the keeper's legs. And to be honest, 2-0 up, it really was game over at that point. Arsenal just had to make sure that there were no defensive lapses at the back, and because this is Arsenal, you're always kind of on edge. That is all it takes is one lapse in concentration. City get back into it, and then you think, oh, this is when everything's going to fall down. You know, I've seen it too many times with Arsenal when they've been in a winning position, seemingly comfortable, one defensive error, and then everything just falls down. But luckily that didn't happen this time. They were just more assured, more responsible, more disciplined than the back, and they saw the game through. So I think, yeah, it was a really solid, disciplined, confidence building performance because they had the lead and they managed to hold on to it this time. I've mentioned before in previous reviews, there's that telling statistic in the league when they lost the lead 15 times from winning position. So this was great confidence builder, and of course you're coming off the back of beating Liverpool 2-1, even though let's admit that was a dead rubber, and Liverpool again had a lot of possession, and it was more down to defensive errors by Liverpool rather than Arsenal just completely dominating them. But results are results and wins are wins, and that's what you need to build up confidence. Now obviously the final we have between United and Chelsea, so at the time I'm uploading this late Saturday night, so I don't know if I can get this out on time before that match plays, but we'll see what happens. I would personally bank on United. I think they're going to win, but we wait and see. You never know in a cup game what goes on there. But I think now we're going to see, obviously with the league now, there's 2 games remaining, so I just think Arteta is going to rest a lot of players, make sure there are no injuries and everybody's 100% fit for that cup final, because yeah, that's important now. I think more for Arteta, if he can get an FA Cup win under his belt, that will give him more confidence and give him more stature going forward for the next season. That will give him more authority. The fact that he's taken over a team, what was it, late November, December, and he's managed to win a trophy within the space of 6-7 months, particularly with the season being disrupted because of COVID-19. If he can get an FA Cup win under his belt, that will really do well for him, and it will gain him a lot more respect amongst the players, and maybe it will convince Aubameyang to sign an extension to his contract. Again, this is what all Arsenal fans are now panicking. I've seen a lot of reactions and reviews of this match, and everybody's just really concerned at Aubameyang's whether he's going to sign or not. I always deem that no team should be over reliant on one player. You should, okay, he is important, yes, and he is the main goal scorer, and of course we want to keep him, but it should never be a case of, oh, if Aubameyang does leave, that's it, everything's going to fall apart. You should always build yourself a strong and in-depth quality of squad that doesn't hinge yourself on one player. So we'll see what develops over there. I think he probably will sign, but they're just going to have to offer him a high amount of wages, probably on the same level that Ozil's on right now, in order to keep him on there. So we'll wait and see whether Aubameyang signs or not. But overall, a very pleasing performance for Arsenal. Puts them in good stead for the remainder of the season. Like I said, I reckon Arteta's going to rest a lot of players for the last 2 games. I think we're away to Aston Villa. I think that's the next game. I think that's next Tuesday or Wednesday. So yeah, don't be surprised if you see a much changed team for that game, and then we see the full team roll out for the final, either against United or Chelsea. So all round, very pleasing, very satisfactory performance from Arsenal. I do think, let's not get too carried away, because we've had this before when we've won semi-finals, got to the final, and then it's all fallen apart. We look at the Europa League final against Chelsea. You know, everybody was getting super hyped after we won a semi-final, and then when we got to the final, you know, it all fell apart on there. So I think let's get hyped up, let's get excited, but let's also just keep our feet firmly on the ground here and just wait and see what happens on Sunday, and let's see what lineup that Arteta decides to go for in the final on here, before we start anointing him the next big manager that's going to be dominant for the next 5 years at Arsenal. Because despite this result, it's still a big job. There's still bigger challenges ahead. There's still bigger hurdles that he's got to overcome in the future. But for right now, this moment, very pleased with the result. Well done with Arteta, and well done to Arsenal for a very strong, disciplined, defensive performance. So those are my thoughts on it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.